clipboard.
Is he coming? I think he's better watching.
Yeah. No, they're not going to be that cute. They don't care about your reach.
No.
Right? That's what we're saying.
Calling good? Yeah.
He's here.
Calling good?
You want to make some reference? I go to clinic.
Chris, is Terry out there? Oh.
You didn't hear him.
Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the agenda. Motion by Bill, seconded by myself to approve the minutes of the agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Kelsey, you ready to be sworn in?
I am.
Okay. This one from hereafter sworn
What's that?
in. From here swore at. Yeah.
Probably.
I, Kelsey Binkin, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of the office of County Attorney in Winnebago County, as now or hereafter required by law.
Thank you. And I'm actually going to bail out because I'm about a month behind, even though I started yesterday.
Let's do it tonight.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Not luck.
All right. Public hearing for DD 103 annexation report. I'll second it. Motion by myself, seconded by Bill to open the public hearing for DD 103. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Okay, we did, after the meeting last time, in regards to this, we did adjust the annexation report. In particular, the Susan Smith property. We had based it on information available. We got more information at the last hearing. So the report has been adjusted so that the total annexed areas add up to 15.77 acres. So, very small area. I'll give you copies of that. Yep. Like I say, it's just a very small area. You can hardly pick it out on the drawing, in fact. So. You can see in that third page the acre breakdown. By far the majority of the acres involved are for Winnebago County roads. Over and above the county roads, there's only 3.07 acres that we annexed. And it's kind of towards the bottom of the drawing, in the middle, just a red shaded area there. Very, very little area. So we feel that should be done formally to take care of those parcels that are in the watershed but haven't been paid.
And the roads, were they just not in there before?
Right.
Okay.
Certain areas weren't. Yeah.
So, yeah, they were annexed, they were added into the drainage district, right?
Yes, they were always in the boundary, but hadn't been paying for those acres of roads. So yeah, that's 12.7 acres, so it's a fair amount. That'll mean they're paying their share of any levy in the future.
How come, that's the Griffith property?
I'm not sure.
On that little red,
The small area?
Almost triangle, yeah.
I think I just have it by, no, there's Francis Peterson, Carlo Rugstead.
The old root beer stand?
Well, that's what it is, okay. Yeah, okay, it's on there.
Yeah,
Way
just
back.
little pieces that were in the watershed but not paying. So just to clean that up is all this is really doing.
Okay. Any conversation about this?
I had an issue with section 10, Cleon Knudsen estate now. That's part of, as it's written, it's part of DD 103, but that area actually goes a different direction since early 70s. Susan can attest to that.
I think that's the one that we reduced the levy on because of that drainage.
The percentage reduction or something?
Yes. And we can get into that with the reclass here and
Okay.
how that stands. So, and you say that's in section 10?
Mm-hmm. There's about 19 acres.
Yeah, that's right here.
Yeah, and so
Here's just under 16 parcel. Is that
yeah, there's
Knudsen?
two parcels there.
Yep.
15.7 and 3.55.
I'm not, let's see. Oh, okay, there it is, yes. Yeah, well, let's look at that and see if we need to just adjust that benefit number. We do have the benefit, particularly on the 15.7 down to only 17 out of 100. So we've got that pretty low. And we get into more detail with the
Yeah, that'll be taken
reclass.
care of in the classification.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So this percent reduction schedule, that has to do with the further away you are from the open ditch, the less you're gonna pay.
Yeah,
How does that work?
what we've been doing for a few years now is if it's a main, say a main tile or a main ditch, if you're some distance away, so you have to go through other property owners, you have to spend some money to take advantage of that main system. So we do a small reduction based on how far away from it you are. Yeah, it's to help kind of equalize a little bit. in a way that you can benefit from that main. And you have to spend money to benefit from that main, so we're doing a small reduction on the main.
Okay.
That's the main. Proximity is the word we use, but yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'm assessed pretty heavy because I'm towards the bottom, but mine goes into a private ditch and then goes into the main.
Now, this will be taken care of with reclassification.
It will be.
This is
That's
just
what-
the annexation part.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
just adding.
You guys have a lot more acres. I got a lot of water going.
We can't talk about that right now, okay? We gotta wait for the reclass, agenda item, okay? Okay. So if there's no other comments on the annexation, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Second. Motion by myself, seconded by Bill, to close the DD 103 annexation. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Consider approval for DD 103 annexation report. I'll make a motion to approve the annexation report. I'll second it. Motion by myself, seconded by Bill, to approve the annexation report. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And unfortunately, we have to wait until 9:20 to start the reclass. Okay, number 7. Yeah, we can start with 7.
Do you want to do the,
Oh, the updates?
well, or DD11, do you want to do the DD11 report quick?
Sure.
Talk about that?
Yeah, that'd be great. That's with you guys.
Yes, well, I was
Okay.
going to do it in 8 minutes.
Okay, all right, we can do it. Sorry. Okay, this is the location of DD11 in the county. And that's find that helpful. Now, here's a drawing of the district. And this is one where we're looking at open ditch option on the lower part of the ditch. And what I want to just briefly talk to you about is getting some topography out there this spring to be sure we're okay, that the tile will have cover on it, and that the ditch option is viable. So we've got the report ready, looking at all tile. We've looked at half-inch and 1-inch drainage coefficient. We have not submitted that report yet. So what I'd like to do is get that topography, be sure of the cover on the tile, and be sure a ditch is even a possibility. Take us a day in the field. We can get all the information a day in the field. And since we haven't turned in the report anyway, there's no scheduling issue there either. So just wanted to draw that to your attention. I know there was discussion, since that portion of the tile is on the property line, it would not be a problem of separation. Not putting in a ditch in an area where there's not a ditch, it would not be causing a divide of property. You wouldn't be cutting anybody off. So I think the ditch option is worth considering. I penciled some numbers to it quickly. On the 1-inch coefficient, going to ditch on that lower 4,000 feet would save about $125,000. Still an expensive project, but significant savings. So just kind of information, see if you guys have any issues with what I'm
That's
proposing.
compared to what? Saving 125 compared to what?
It's over $1 million.
And then what I wondered too, when we talked about it earlier, is if we wanted to have a landowner informational meeting, show them some options before, yeah,
Those are always good.
Yeah.
so.
And what we'd do is, if we're going to go out on site, we would go ahead and get a letter to the landowners that we'd be on, so they know what we're doing. We try and do that with every project. It just helps so much. So.
motion to approve the we're on DD number 7. 6. No, 7. DD 11. Yep. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the.
You're not really approving
No.
Yeah,
anything.
we're not really approving
No.
anything.
No.
So,
You're not really doing anything. You're not taking any action right now.
Do you want them to authorize an
yes,
informational
we need
meeting,
to,
or
we need to
how do you want
authorize
to
him
handle
to
it?
do it.
Set an informational meeting.
It says here possible action, so we can do it. I think we should
Make
authorize him to do that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion, authorizing our copper engineer to put together an informational meeting for DD 11 report.
Second that. Motion by Bill, second by myself to have Rick Hopper put together the possible DD 11 report. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
So I'll just get with Rick and we'll
We'll
send
get
that
something
out.
figured out.
We got 5 minutes here. You got a bunch on the other drainage stuff, the other projects, or?
Not a lot of information,
5
just
minutes?
5 minutes, I can give you a pretty quick updates. DD1 clean out, Larson is working on that. They've worked a good share of the winter, just working in areas that were open, which meant they moved upstream some. Now they're moving downstream to wrap up as they go. So, we've had somebody over staking a little bit, and I'll be talking to them on progress. And I'm looking for them to ask for a pay request fairly soon again. So, DD1 lateral 2 and DD1 lateral 4, you had those bid lettings earlier. We're trying to set up pre-construction meetings for those for the last half of next week. I talked to one of the contractors. He's all in favor of doing that. We'll get a hold of the other contractor. Also in line with that, I'm going to try and meet with the commissioners on DD3 that same day. We're going to reclassify a couple of the laterals that you have expenses on, and Chris would like to bill for. So you can reclassify a lateral separately, and if I'm combining my meeting with them with another meeting over here, it won't add any cost to the reclass, because we have to reclassify each lateral separately anyway as part of the report. It's just that we'll submit a report with just those 2 laterals in it. So that's the only duplication. So that'll be happening. DD 41, 47, and 21, we're working on reclasses. We should be very close within a month on those, I would say.
Not 21.
Or not 21. Oh, right, that's right. 21, there's been a little change. So,
We'll talk about that after.
Yeah.
We need more time for that one.
yep, good point. Thank you. That's
That's it for that one?
yeah.
All right. We just got a couple minutes. You got anything for yours?
Yeah, we'll talk about them later.
Okay.
They take more than a minute.
We can get it all out of the way. We'll just do that. Is it okay? Mark?
Yeah. I don't have that.
Approve it so you guys can post the weight limits.
Yeah, Scott would have the resolution, I don't have it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. We do it every year, so it's.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to follow your relation. 14.
Oh, number 14, okay. I'll make a motion, for Kelsey Bacon to be the Assistant Worth County Attorney.
I will second that. Motion by Bill, second by myself to allow Kelsey Binkin to be the Assistant Worth County Attorney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Move on back to 5. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the DD 103 reclass report.
I'll second it.
Motion by myself, second by Bill, to open the public hearing for the DD 103 reclass report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Okay, what I gave you is just the adjusted pages on the main. And the main change was, in the Susan Smith property, we backed off that parcel in section 9 to 19 acres. I think we had it 37 or 38 acres before. That was the main adjustment. Question was brought up on the Knudsen properties in parcels in section 10. So those are the first two entries on page 3 of 4. They're at the very top. How do I describe this? The column, we should have continued those headings. If you look at the top of page 3 and look for 17.07, 17.03 at the top, in the very top row, that line, that column is the average benefit column. That's where we look at from 0 to 100 and put points on it. You can see that the one parcel in particular, the large parcel, has very low benefit compared to, and I see one lower in the entire report. 17.03 out of 100. So that's very low benefit. Their assessment for, if we had $10,000 levy, their assessment would be $34.17. Again, the right column is the average cost per acre, $2.18. Now, the second row down is the other parcel for Knudsen. It's not as low, but it is still one of the lower ones in the entire district. Let's see, 2 or 3 maybe lower. So I believe we've already tried to take that into account as far as the surface and subsurface being different flows because of those low numbers.
So you didn't change anything from the original report on the benefits acre per on his?
No.
So that's still
It's already low.
the same.
Yeah, it's already low, is what I'm saying, I guess. If we go,
You're looking at the average benefit per acre column?
I'm looking at, yes. That's where I'm looking at it being, both those parcels are very much on the low side of things. Both of them. 17.03, I think there's only one lower in the whole district. The 23.65, there's probably 3 or 4 lower than that one. So I believe we got that darn close, at least, to what it should be in the end.
Okay.
So, I hadn't studied that one until you mentioned that here now again this morning. So, Susan's, you can see her average benefits 27.85 and 30.72.
So those didn't change.
No, the average benefit we didn't change. We just took care of the acres.
Okay. And you think that's?
I think, it's in the upper 20s to low 30s. It's, I was just going to see if I think it's a little below average, if I look at that correctly. 27. Yes. Average benefit. Let me look at the one thing yet. Yeah, the average benefit points is 44.94, so it's considerably below that.
What was that, 41?
44.94 is the average points per acre.
For the whole 8103? No.
Yes. Because there's some up in there that are in the 50s and 60s. So yeah, the average is 44.94 points per acre. And then Susan's in particular is 27.85 and 30.72.
So you have some kind of formula based on the number of feet and the.
Yeah, we look heavily at the soils because that indicates several characteristics. Productivity, need for drainage. Some of the descriptions of soils even says good for row crop if drained. That's a factor we look at. And then we use that proximity. How far is it from the main? If it's over a quarter of a mile, we do a reduction. And then as you get further, we do more reduction. It's worked out well. It's another factor that we think makes sense, that you can logically think about. If it costs you to get to that main to use it, we do some reduction on the main for those parcels. Good part on this one, we're not spending a lot of money on it.
On what?
Well, as far as work to
The reclassification.
the reclassification, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yep. If we did a $10,000 repair, this is what your cost would be.
Is there ever a $10,000 repair?
Yeah, but usually they'll do several before they bill you, so, yeah. And Chris would be the one to know that.
It's not my fault.
Yeah. None of the billing is her fault. I will reinforce it.
I just try to make it right.
Go through that again. You have $10,000 repair.
Yes.
Say, for example, on Cleon Knutson's,
Yeah, you'd have a $34.17 and a $10.73 bill.
Out of the $10,000.
So if you did a $100,000 project repair or whatever, theirs would be $341.70 and $107.30.
oh, okay.
So, yeah, I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you here. But now, $100,000, you can do quite a bit of repair.
Any other questions? Think you have one, Brian?
Yeah, some of the land that you guys, we go into this open ditch, you have a lot more land on my property going into the open ditch. We ran mains years ago that go right to the river. They go across other properties, so I'm not using that open ditch on the acres that get listed.
And that's in what section?
5, Center 5. We've also ran most of that land across Urban Quality's property and drained it, a lot of that also. So the private ditch we've cleaned before, that's between the DNR land, Gary Peterson's and mine, that's 3, that's a private ditch. We paid to clean that ourselves.
Do you have any tile maps that you use, or?
Oh, I probably can. You've got most of that land going into that, and then you're completely 100% wrong.
Well,
And they've been put in years ago. There's cement that they go across Paulie's property. There's 2 outlets that go across Paulie's property on the river. And even looks like on Denny Rugnes and some of his land too, he got classified going into the river. And that's probably a mistake also. A lot of that, because a lot of that comes into mine that was right to the river across.
This boundary was done from satellite imagery with contours, so it's,
Well, it doesn't matter, it's because I know where our water drains, I can go out there and I can show you. If you wanna come out there, we can do it, GPS and over everything. You even got other land in there that's not even drained through that.
well, it still shows it's in the watershed based on the contours. Now, where it was tiled, we don't know.
These are all private tiles that you're talking, running to the private
Right.
ditch.
But
So
even
yeah.
on the contours you got, the way you got this drawn out logically, you wouldn't even tile that way.
Well, that's, yeah. So what's being used for general watershed determinations is the LiDAR information. And there's computer software that we use to do that. We don't go out and topo the entire watershed district. I mean, I don't know of anybody that does that. We try and use the best information available. Tile, we can definitely consider. And more than likely what happens in these cases is there may be further reductions on properties based on information we can get. So I don't know whether we need to
We'll have to do
Continue.
another meeting again.
I can bring the tile maps, all we've done that's on GPS.
Okay.
So what are the names we're hooked onto, and we can bring in GPS, a lot of the stuff.
Okay.
Um,
That'd be good. I'm over here at the end of next week again as far as
Okay.
picking something up
if
or,
that's what you need from me, I can get the,
Yes.
I can get the tile map.
that'd be perfect.
There should be some that were recorded, I know we still have some, the originals when they were put in the sixties,
Okay,
so I can bring all that.
yes, that'd be good.
And it looks like some of, I know, Denny's hooked into mine too, so.
Okay? Anything you can get me, we can
Okay.
use and try and take care of it.
Okay, perfect.
And that's where I wish years ago we would have thought of, not that there's anything wrong with putting private tile in, but it'd be nice if we knew about it and then we could actually have them on our tile maps listed as private tiles, so you know where they're all at.
Be
Ours
wonderful.
are, ours are
So when
done,
you go through and do a big repair, you don't cut tile off, not knowing that they're not there. We've had that happen where you just don't know where they're at.
ours were done with an aerial view. Plane flew over when all the new mains were put in, we took an aerial view of it from that year.
Oh, that's,
So all the
That's
ditches,
great.
everything was done. So I have the proof on that.
I wish we had the information. You have it, but it'd be nice if,
Yeah,
it's not what happened, so. it's-
yeah. It's gonna take a lot to
This would be nice.
turn that around,
Yeah.
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 No, if you can get that, that'd be great. Get it into Chris and,
Now, that's not going to affect the reclass though, correct?
well, it could. We may have to do an adjustment on his
Do
properties.
an adjustment on
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
That's not after the fact?
Well, the board has
That
a-
should be done with the reclass.
Yes.
It'd be better, I think, you can do it and make adjustments later, but
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Cheaper to do it.
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
Do you want to schedule something specific so you don't have to do notice again or something?
No, I still have to do a notice.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know when right now, so.
Okay.
Aside from Burns, is there any other discussion that you guys want to have?
If he wants Denny Rognus's to have some in, Denny's gonna have to bring that information in.
Well, I got probably some aerials of his too there.
But I want him to,
Well, if he's not complaining, no, he can pay, I don't care.
There you go.
If he doesn't wanna come in, he's fine, I don't care.
you know what I mean?
I'll get a hold of him.
Yeah,
I'll get,
it'd be nice to,
Yeah, this could get drug on.
Give him
Yeah,
the
let's
option
clean it.
whether he wants to pay.
Right.
I'll get a hold of him.
Yeah, let's clean it up.
Mhm.
so.
So let's table this then.
Well, we're still in the public hearing, right?
Yeah, but,
But we'll just have not do number 6, I guess.
Right.
I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Oh, I'm sorry.
state statutes enter in on all this stuff?
It doesn't say much. No. You're not to take into account whether a field is pattern tiled or not, because everybody has that option. But it just says you go from 0 to 100 in benefit. The land getting the most benefit gets 100 points, and you graduate it down from there. The courts have ruled that if you drain onto somebody else's land and they have to take care of your water, that's a benefit for the one draining. So you can, even if there's a private ditch, the law allows you to levy for them, but you can reduce it. So it's just so limited, the description of how you do the reclass, that there's 20 different ways you can do it. But it's, 0 to 100, land with 100 most benefit, down to 0, period. And that's what we're using. And that's how engineers have introduced different factors to use to come up with that 0 to 100 range.
Now, after all, you take care of all this stuff at Burn and maybe Dennis, do we have to have another public hearing?
Yes.
And by law, do we have to put that in the paper? Yeah, it's gotta be relatively a small ownership district.
Yeah.
If you'd brought this up earlier, we wouldn't have had to do this one.
That's fine.
So we
Yeah, we'll get it
resolved at this point.
But we'll get it,
Okay.
Hindsight is so clear.
yeah, isn't it?
Well, looks like nothing will happen today then, so I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
By myself, second Bill, to close the public hearing for DD 103. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We will table number 6. That's it for 103 for now. Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
Yep, take care, guys.
The actual plat book. You don't plat book on the land.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
They said, we'll have to wait till 9:20. That makes sense.
They don't have that. Here's the farm.
Well, it wouldn't be,
It can start on
Okay.
DD 21.
Yeah.
So the petition was to clean out part of DD 21. Well, I'm looking at it, DD 21 goes into DD 68. Up north of Rake on the Cassuth County line.
I didn't think it did, but it does get them.
Yeah. So on the north side, it looks like DD 21, on the south side, it's DD 68. So DD 21 is only this part, just that little part. So what we're thinking, what I'd like to do is reclassify 21 and 68. In talking with Mark too, we do have a joint district with 68 and Cassuth because a lot of their water goes west. But the water that goes to this ditch, I would like to reclassify to pull those parcels into 21 and then keep the joint with 68. Because otherwise we don't know, in the classification from 1914, none of these parcels pay into this ditch. So I'd like to get that clarified.
They flow there.
Yeah.
68, 136 was done in 99, so that one should be pretty accurate, I would think.
Right, but I wanted,
Well, it's joint,
Yeah,
68,
in Cassuth there.
yeah.
Cassuth has been cleaned out.
Well, they did a reclass in 99
They did.
and a.
How are they gonna feel about getting reclassed into 21 then?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, how that all
Right.
should tie together.
I think I'd like to see what it looks like and then see what that compares to 68. And maybe I can check with the landowners and say, well, really, you should be in this one instead of this one, see how they feel. I mean, I would guess it's not gonna be a huge amount of parcels.
It seems like when they did that reclass, that there was annexations, and it was kind of adjusted to that, as I remember.
Right, and I can give all the information to Rick,
We just have to.
but right now it's not clear.
And this drawing shows the red boundary, the red is the boundary that's being levied for 21. And you can see that quarter-mile stretch of blue there, that's the only part of the open ditch that's technically in the area being levied by 21. So something has to be done about that. Because the other blue color, all of that needs to be looked at and cleaned out. But right now, half of it is 68 and half of it's 21.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's,
It's not clear.
no, yeah, it's.
What do you mean half?
Well, like,
This looks to me like it's an eighth.
Oh, well, the south side of this blue line is 68, the north
Yep.
side of it's 21,
Oh,
as far
all
as
right.
your maps.
Okay.
But the levy part is in the red, so
Right.
it's a confusing situation, and maybe
Yeah,
with
that's
the
fine, I got it,
information she's talking about, we can get that ironed out.
So this here is levied into
68.
68 then, even though it's 21.
Yes,
We think
Yes.
it's 21,
yes.
it says otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay,
Based on reports on levies, here's that same quarter mile. This is all 21 and this is all 68, and just this part has been levied for 21. Yeah.
And we don't have anything.
you don't go on landmass in your formula at all?
Land mass,
I mean, how much of this takes advantage of this ditch? All, the private.
Bunch of it goes through there.
yeah, all of this in blue.
All of it goes, okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we split it out based on where it goes, but this one, all of it gets to that ditch. And the petition was just submitted for 21, I believe, which technically just gets a quarter mile of the ditch, but we need to look at more of it than that,
Yeah.
so.
There isn't anything on the agenda to do that, so we'll have to do it next week, but that's what we need to do.
Sounds reasonable. That it for you?
I think so. Yeah.
Once again, I had a question. I did
understand.
remember the other one.
Well, we'll give you time.
Did you have number 10?
Oh, that's just a verbal. Yeah, because they talked about it last week. Corey wanted to wait.
It was in general. I remember that, so, all right. All right, we'll move on to 10 then. Approval of DD 3937, completion date. This is
And that's where they want to extend we talked about it
The
last week.
completion, yep.
I'm gonna
I'll
catch
make a
it.
motion to approve the completion date of 5/1/18 for DD 3937.
I'll second it.
Motion by myself, seconded by Bill, to approve the completion date for DD 3937 of 5/1/18. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Scott?
Morning. In case you haven't seen that, the auction April 7th.
All over it goes.
Good. As you know, rather than trading in some of our older equipment, we have found good pricing through having our own auction. So we have maintainer 2 trucks, some pickups, and bridge lumber and stuff like that on the auction. So wanted to make sure you were aware of it, and
And a couple pipes.
few.
The one that Gene wants. Is there one that'll serve his purpose here? Because I know he wanted to buy it before the auction, because he wanted to get started on it.
Yeah, I really don't think there's one that fits the purpose very well. But
Because it's too rusty or too small or?
there are some that are bigger than we need that are pretty rusty. And there's one that is too short, and it has some holes in it and some wear on it, so. You know, anything that's of good quality, of course, we keep.
Good for me.
That's all I have for.
That's all I had. Okay. Then we'll go on to, you got any more questions on the alternate? Bill?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to the resolution for the Margos.
Duplicate copies that for you on this. This is a resolution that we pass annually to make sure our roads are protected in the case that they get soft and we have somebody abusing them.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing Scott to post the weight limits on our secondary roads.
I'll second it.
Motion by myself, second by Bill, to authorize Scott to, or just approve the resolution authorizing county engineer to post weight limits on our roads. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
You know, they, what would that be? Going straight off the T of Highway 9, going east there, is that 420th? Have you been out there and bladed that a little bit, have they? You know?
Not yet.
It's got a couple of potholes by the bridge. I actually broke something on my car hitting one. I didn't see it quick enough. I take that as a shortcut when I'm coming back from Mason City. Some
River Bridge?
by the first bridge going east. There's a pothole as you're going over the bridge coming from the west. It doesn't look that big, and then once you get there, there it is. And I tried to swerve out of the way a little bit, and I hit it. It made a bang out or something rattles back to it, which is my fault. I was driving faster than the conditions required. But I was going to tell you.
I never do that.
Well, it's
Sure,
I did not see it in time. I'm just, in case somebody's needs something to do, they can go out there and figure out, throw a few scoops of gravel in the hole or something. There's a couple other ones that were pretty rough too, that were just in the middle of the road. That happens this time of year. It's not that I'm criticizing, I'm just.
We get past the weather this week, and next week we should be playing pretty regularly, hopefully.
It was my own fault.
So, you'll start planting next week, you think? Because Apple Avenue is north of the 105. I should have snapped some pictures when I drove by. That last snow really, it's got washouts. Takes up about a quarter of the road.
They've done some blading up by Buffalo, haven't they?
Oh, just a few spots here and there.
He's touched up a few of the real bad washboards up there, so.
Right,
But I imagine it still goes down underneath. The other two sloppy ones.
yeah, I mean, the blade's okay, but what happens if you loosen it all up and then we get this
Crap.
cold, snowy, rainy crap, it just
Sogs it up.
turns it to soup.
Yep. They were all just paved. That's all the problems with them.
How do you think the state of Wisconsin can pave all their roads? You go to Wisconsin, and I have never driven on a gravel road.
So they have seal coat roads up there probably.
Is that what it is?
Indiana does the same thing.
Really?
Indiana, there's hardly any of their gravel roads are, well, it's not actual, real fancy blacktopping or nothing, it's, but all of them are pretty solid here, you don't have to worry about these issues.
The property taxes are twice.
Are they?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm guessing, somebody's paying for it.
Open forum.
I would like to once again stress the importance of all county employees and citizens of Winnebago County to contact Senator Booth and Representative Gassman regarding fully funding the backfill for the commercial and industrial rollbacks.
I'll be in Buffalo Center on Friday,
Here too.
and then here also.
Probably Lake Mills.
Are they doing, one of them's on a different day. Either Lake Mills or Four Cities.
Four Cities on the 23rd, I think.
And then one of them's on, it must be Lake Mills on the 30th then or something? Or, cause I could've swore that in, when I saw that, we got an email on it, I think, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I see the District 2 supervisors are meeting. I hope they're contemplating, if they do pass it, screw us. It sounded like in that email that we would take a legal action against the state. Isn't that the way you took it?
Yeah. Friday, March 23rd at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. in Mills Theater, 11 a.m. to noon in Buffalo Center, and March 30th they're going to be in 2:30 to 3:30 over at Waldorf over there.
Has Meyer approached any of you guys with regards to having some sort of negotiations of some sort?
Not that I know of.
Not at all.
Could have, but not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
Why they're all facade.
The governor was open to having negotiations with all the counties and cities with regards to it, but there's never been a meeting posted or anything like that, and it was my understanding that something like that was going to be in progress.
Well, maybe that's what this District 2 meeting's about.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nobody else seems to know of any meeting.
Well, this is just District 2.
I mean negotiations, that is.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Beg your pardon.
Well, I suppose they just put that in there. Well, you guys didn't contact us. So that's the CYA.
You're not the only ones to go, oh, I don't know anything about him.
Anything else? Those people know what they're doing.
Yeah. We will move on, discuss early retirement. Dennis here?
I told him 10, so.
Oh,
He is here?
Are you gonna talk about 15 first or 16?
15 first.
So what is your thinking on this early retirement policy?
well, I think it should be flexible myself,
Why?
so that we can, it probably ought to be a general guideline, but not everybody's situation is the same.
What about
And-
just when people want to retire? Why do you want to offer them something that they're going to retire anyway? Why do you want to pay insurance on them for a year plus
If
new
we-
people?
If we can save money doing it,
How are you
that-
saving money?
that we need to look at.
Right.
If we don't, then it needs to really be looked at. That's my number one criteria. This should, if we did a policy, it shouldn't be, at the detriment of the county, put it that way.
Right. So that's why it was nice that you just came up with this one time. We are in a financial problem, so you come up with it the one time.
Well,
Well, if nobody's gonna, in our department, there is one person retiring, we're not gonna replace them. But the other people that are thinking about it, you're still gonna replace them, so it's not saving any money.
Well, except for you.
then we'll take that into account.
But what if, say, we're talking about Denny, okay?
Okay.
Denny's a single person, single insurance. Well, you replace him, yeah, he might be a little bit lower wage, but in 2 years, he's gonna be up with everybody else. What if it's a person with a family? Now we're paying family insurance.
And that's,
And you're still paying his insurance.
and that's what we should look at.
Right. But so why do you have to extend this policy? This was made up for one time by February 28th.
Because he asked for it. Okay? It'd be no different if, say, you're 61, and you come in and want to retire, and it saves the county. If it saves the county, I would be all for it. Now, I won't be here, but wouldn't that logically make sense?
I don't know, whatever happened to just having a policy done? And if I want to retire next year, I retire next year. Why does it have, why do we have to change policy?
Well, that's been my argument all along. Why do we even have a policy?
Right, if we're gonna change it all the time, why have one?
We're not changing it.
But you are, because you had one that was set up to February 28th.
And that was for a specific purpose.
Yep.
And nothing really was thought into that one.
So
It
why
saved the
did-
county money. What can I say to get through to you? If it
What can I
saves
say
the
to get
county
through to
money,
you?
we'll look at it. If it doesn't, we won't.
So why do we even have, we shouldn't have one then? We just shouldn't have one at all. If you come to us, if I come to you, do I want 2 years insurance? Do I get 2 years?
If it's gonna end up saving the county in the long run, I'd gladly give you 2 years insurance. If it's gonna save the county money.
Okay,
Don't you understand that?
sure,
Well, your actions tell me different.
right. So it's my opinion.
Am I not explaining myself right?
Hey, the goal, our whole goal is to do whatever we can do to save the county money.
That's the primary objective.
That is
Right.
completely I mean, and if we can do that by making exceptions in different areas, now, we're not gonna make the exception that says, wow, we really like this guy, so we're gonna cost ourselves more money. and make
Absolutely
money
not.
competing for him. We probably won't make that decision. But a decision that is gonna save the county money, I don't care what it is, if it saves money.
The Road Workers Association have had this in place for several years. How many, Mark? 15?
Probably, yeah. At
It-
least probably.
It paid for itself. It took 2 full years for the replacement to get up.
It doesn't pay for itself
It did.
at one
I
point,
said it did.
but it
I
doesn't.
can't imagine it would now.
No,
Yeah, but that's also a 3-year benefit, so it's,
Yeah.
anymore, it's a lot of money.
and as far
And we
as,
can't just out of hand dismiss a request. We need to look at it. Speak up if you guys think I'm wrong, and we got one that thinks I'm wrong, so I mean,
I guess.
Well, I understand your technicality on it, I mean, in policy's a policy, that's the way it is, But I have a hard time, there's a lot of things that I just can't stand, that, well, this is the way it is, but it's gonna cost us more money. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm thinking, well, I wish we had some control over that, so it wouldn't cost us any money. And this is one thing we do have some control over, that if it saves us money, it saves us money. And
we opened the door when we gave Jane early retirement. And that's labor law.
Well,
It wasn't just Jane.
It was a policy set up for
For anybody
whoever
who wanted
applied
to take advantage
to do
of
it. Yeah.
Was it in the policy that they wouldn't be replaced for a year or not?
It was not.
It's not, okay.
That was, my office was trying to set an example for the county because we're in financial trouble. And so I wanted to hopefully encourage other departments to really think about what they could do to save the county money. Because we're broke. We're not broke. We're tight. We just need to watch what we do. And so I was trying to be a good steward of the county's money, and it's gonna be hard for my department. It's gonna be a lot of work for the ones of us that are left. But that's a sacrifice that we're willing to take because we know the county's in financial, the budget is very tight.
It's never a bad time to try to save the county money.
No.
I mean,
Even if we're flush with it.
But you just really need to think about, is it actually going to? I mean, if you want to take it on as a case-by-case basis, then you need to look at all the numbers. I mean, not just now, but I mean, in the future.
No, right now.
No, I mean, like, and for years. I mean, like, is it, if you got to pay his insurance, well, then the 2 years that it's going to take the new one up, and I mean, you need to look for that amount of time.
That's exactly right. And I thought of this last week, I should have said, you need to come to us how this is gonna save the county money. Whether you replace Dennis or not.
You guys are planning on replacing him?
Yes, and I've shown you numbers for Denny, and that's all I've shown, so.
If we really want to address the county's financial situation, we have to do something like across the board slash of employees or something like that, if you really want to. I mean, it's either you try to get through it the way we are and hope that people understand, or if you really want to, I mean, you just take a 30% across the board, be a person out of every office and 30% of the employees from every other part of the county, and that's what would really save money. But now, there will be a cost. I just saw a thing on the news this morning, I can't remember where it was at, where they're having, it's up in Minnesota, and Minnesota's going to approve something for their state offices, some emergency funding, because they have such huge lines in all of their offices for all of their services. And if we slash everything, then people are going to have to get used to standing in line to get their services, because you either, I mean, all the money in the county goes to providing services. And the only thing we can do to cut back on the county's budget is to cut back on the services, where people are going to have to wait an extra day to get the road cleared after a blizzard. And people are going to be standing in line in the offices. And the people that have to deal with the crappy people standing in line don't always enjoy that, so they want to make sure they have plenty of employees to handle the rush. So how many people really want to put up with the discomfort of the services not being as timely as they have been, and how many are going to be happier, not happy necessarily, but understand that there's going to have to be more taxes. It's a tough situation.
Purely subjective.
How much does it cost to pay, like, someone's retire, or their insurance for a year, and retire early? What is the total?
$9,499.20.
So then if they hire someone
to
replace them.
Just because we
Right away, right now, as it stands, we can't afford to do this with Dennis, okay? So I won't vote for it.
I'm just curious.
If they come up with a solution to maybe hire part-time for 2 years that will save us money, I vote for it. And that's why I don't like policies, because every situation is different. Every situation is different. And the time to raise your voice is, if you don't think it's fair, is at the time we are doing it. Okay? That's my
So for Denny, if we hire a single person, we will save, about $9,000 the first year. If we hire a person who wants family insurance, we'll save about $1,000. The second year, if we hire somebody who has a single insurance, we'll still save money. Year 2, if we hire someone with family, we'll be short like $4,000.
So the onus and burden is put on you guys, Denny and Scott. It's going to have to make sense from a fiscal side of it.
I guess what I've shown you is it saves about $5,000 the first 2 years and up to $6,000, but that's only if it's a single
per year or?
No, total, and that's what the replacement is, a single, insurance policy, and that, we don't know that. And if the new guy has a
Well, we
family
could put
policy.
that stipulation. It's gonna have, you're gonna have to save that $6,000, the way you have figured it, it's gonna have to save $6,000 for us to approve it.
I can show that, based on the new employee having a single policy, but we don't know that. And, those things can change for all the staff from year to year
I
too.
understand that, but I in good conscience couldn't approve it the way it is. Because if you get like they've said, if you get an applicant that's a family, then we have done nothing. We've actually gone in the hole.
Did all the other applicants show that?
No, but here again, this is a special situation.
No, for the other three, for
It'd be a
this.
no-brainer if you guys weren't.
Oh, yes, Jane showed it.
What about the other two?
I don't remember.
They were hiring at a lower wage for a longer period of time.
Nurses.
Yeah. You guys are stuck at 2 years, so there's not the opportunity to have the savings like other departments. I also did some research with the auditors. I put out a survey to all the auditors. And there's only one county that actually does something. But I don't know where she's from, Cedar County. It just talks about like they pay some of their sick leave out at a lower rate an hour. They must meet IRS requirements for retirement and be eligible under the terms of his or her employee contract. I don't know what that really means, but they also have to be between the ages of 55 and 61, wishing to retire with at least 16 years of service, and they can remain on the county's health plan with the county paying 50% of a single plan. So, just, if they're between 62 and 65, then the county will pay 85% of a single plan. So that was the only actual retirement policy. I was talking to Elizabeth, our auditors are here also, and she said that Cerebral County did a retirement plan for a long time, and it was basically breaking them. So it just depends on.
As I said, I can't in good conscience vote for this if it's not going to save the county money. So,
I think the requirements have to be a little more stringent than what we just offered. In 12 years, that's pretty, there's a lot of people that met those requirements.
16
could have.
16 people in the county met those requirements.
That's, what, third? I think that 12 years has to be higher if you come to some kind of a policy guideline.
I would agree, because you'd want the incentive to work here longer. You'd want them to be here longer.
It's easy for me to say, I've been here a while, but.
No, but that's logical.
Yeah.
What's the road guys, how long do they have to be here to?
20 years.
20 years.
And that's the same with WCPA. But we don't have a policy. We treat every individual differently. I shouldn't say differently, but fairly. But it's never at the detriment of the company. So maybe we need to talk to Mike Galloway, on this and see what we can do.
Think of an employee looking at this and comes into the situation where it can't save your department some money, it's not even worth going for it.
Right.
I mean, you have to look at it from the county standpoint, obviously.
There's a lot of things that really factor into it, for a long-term employee, because a lot of those long-term employees have been at the maximum sick leave for years, and you don't get paid that back, just a small portion at retirement. But then you also run the risk of them being sick for a long period of time and having to use that
The
sick
longer you
leave.
get, the higher the odds are.
There's a lot of different angles to look at. Unfortunately, that's part of it too, really.
I guess the number one thing that Mike would have to tell us is could we put a stipulation on in hiring? I don't even know if you can.
I wouldn't think so.
Or if we offer early retirement, one of the requirements for it would be that they not replace that person for at least a year or something like that. So it would be a financial benefit.
I don't think for too many departments that's gonna work.
No, that's, unless of course we're gonna cut back services. So there's everyone in the county's gotta decide whether.
We're just gonna quit doing payroll.
Yes.
Just kidding.
I'd like to quit paying the claims, because then we could save money that way.
There's a lot of fun things you can do in the office.
You know a lot of companies that do that, put it off for at least 3-4 months.
Yeah, I don't think that would be
It's
good.
probably not the best idea either.
Do you want me to call Mike?
There's probably questions that are gonna come up. Let's, let's talk individually. I don't like doing this, I really don't. Let's talk individually with Scott and see what we can come up with. How's that sound?
With me?
Yeah, is that fair?
Are you
I
talking
mean,
about for Dennis?
yeah, it's his employee, so it's, if we can come to an agreement where we know, and I guess you can't put it in writing, but that we know that we're gonna save money, I have no qualms giving Dennis early retirement. None whatsoever.
I guess what I've shown you is about all I can show you. What Carla has too. That's about all we can show you.
Well, there's some other things that I think we could, wasn't gonna bring them up. Let me think a little bit here before I talk.
As far as just looking ahead a little bit, would it be worth putting a small committee together to look at this? 3 department heads or?
Well, you can if you want, but like, my opinion is, first off, I don't like policies because it puts you in a box and you cannot, a policy doesn't treat everybody fair. Okay, so you hope the people in charge will deal fairly with everybody. I mean, that's where I come from.
How about a policy with just a few basic requirements based on what we were just talking about, number of years and obviously the cost savings and age.
And I'm the opposite, because I'm an auditor, and I like policies because it levels the playing field. It gives a, it sets the parameters, and
You about have to have one, don't you, for something like this?
I would think so.
You have to treat them fairly, but not, and equally, but that doesn't mean the same for everybody. You can offer somebody, we could offer this to Dennis, and someone else might come in and say, I only want insurance for 2 months, you know, and so.
All the more reason to have a policy.
Right.
I guess, if if you have a policy with just 1 year insurance, you're not gonna have someone coming in and asking for 26 months. It's just a basic policy with basic guidelines to meet the requirements. And you could have something pretty simple.
And so that keeps us, if somebody comes in and wants 26 months of insurance, and you come to the point in your department where you don't need to replace him, that screws the decision makers from giving that person and saving the county money because it's a policy. And that's what screws us with policies. Do you understand? I mean, do you understand that?
Yeah, the less you pay the retiree the insurance for a year, the less you pay him for that, you're gonna make more cost savings.
Say that again?
If a person retires with just 1 year of paid insurance, it's gonna make the county make more money in the long run.
But let's put it this way, if he can't do that, and he chooses not to, then we haven't saved the county money where we could have. Do you get that? Because he's gonna come and say, I need 26 months of insurance, and I'll retire, and this is what you're gonna save, but due to the policy, we can't do that because it goes over a year. And so we would have to make an exception there. And people don't like exceptions. So.
Yeah, that's why you need a policy, I guess. I'm with Carla. I think something like this almost has to be. Chris?
Hi. Well, and that's where I think too, we need to do more of this stuff at budget time. And on the front end, instead of waiting until they retire. And then you can't spend this much money. You only have this. So you're gonna have to deal with the employees that you have. If somebody leaves, you gotta do this. But I feel like even when I worked at Winnebago Industries, this is what I came in with. This is what I knew I had. I couldn't change it. It's Winnebago Industries. So I just work because that's what we do. Well, when I come to the county, I want the same thing. I want to know that this is my policies. This is what I have to live with. And if I don't like it, I can go somewhere else. I can quit, I can retire, I can do whatever. But this is what it is. And you can save money at the front end by not letting people have so much money for all year. But you have a policy for retirement that you have certain guidelines. Yes, this is what it is. And if you want 26 months, you can't. You just can't. Because the policy is this.
Trust me, if Winnebago Industries wanted to change their policy, they would.
And they can, but
I
can't just go to the board of directors and say, here, I want this.
Sure you can. Yes. And they would look at it, and if it was a company, they would do it, I'm sure.
So I just would like.
I think the one good thing about what we just went through was it was during budget time, and there was timelines involved, where you had a deadline to apply and a deadline to retire. I think that's a good part of the policy, because then you can reflect it on the budgets you're working on.
Mm-hmm. Because this will save us for budget 19, and that's why we did it, because it was tight for 19.
So just accept these applications for retirement for a couple months, or whatever Carla would recommend as far as the time.
But that still doesn't address the nuances of, should we give them, we can save the county $10,000 if we give them 26 months of insurance, but we're gonna break the policy if we do.
Yeah, and I just threw that number out there, Mike.
No, I know, but it would work with any month.
Yeah.
You know, so.
That's maybe why we do need a small committee or Mike. But yeah, there's tons of ways to look at it.
Yep. Well, I guess. Sorry, Dennis. I'm not sure there's much we can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Well, probably what I'll do is just withdraw.
Okay.
And just keep working. That's all I was asking.
Yeah.
I could get it a year from now and you can't, so we'll give up on it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Appreciate it.
You bet. Come on.
So Mike, just to be clear, his application that he had submitted was gonna be not approved.
Yeah. Maybe we should, put that into the minutes.
Do we need to make a motion on that?
Well, I'm
It's
just
not on.
gonna put on in there that he withdrew his application.
Okay,
And that's,
is that good enough for you?
or do we need to have a motion denying?
It's up to you guys how you want it to read.
Well, if he withdraws it, we really have no control over that, so we shouldn't have to make.
Well, as it stands, we've come to understanding he's gonna withdraw it.
Yeah.
Let's table it, let's call Mike Galloway so we do it legally.
He met the
There
requirements.
might be a
Yeah, well-
legality to this.
Just,
He met the requirements. So,
But he withdrew it, so.
well,
But if he was gonna do it with the policy that it was, then he would qualify.
Let's table it and call Mike Galloway.
well,
So we just,
so he had his application on the agenda, and I just wanna be clear about what's going on with that. And he's not gonna withdraw it if he knows it'll be approved.
I think you should
The
do a
only
motion to
practical
deny it
thing
because it's the only
would be to
reason.
deny
that he-
that particular
Yeah.
application, I would say.
can we just not do, can we table it and so we can call Mike Galloway and so we do it right? None of us, I don't think, really know
His
for
is
sure.
no different than the prior three, is what I'm saying. If you use the application date that was in the in the other three, and also the retirement date that was in the other three, his is no different than those three.
I'd like to table this, so I make a motion to table this till next week.
I'll second it.
Motion by myself, seconded by Bill, to table this, the early retirement package for Dennis Queaston. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We will talk about it next week, after we talk to Mike Galloway. All right, semi-monthly claims.
I have an email.
I didn't.
So then, if I did, I forgot to read it.
Good morning.
I didn't see it.
Good morning. Greetings.
Hello, hello.
2, 3.
Here, you can sit right down.
Well, that was our spot over there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, I think that will switch. I like this one. Every time I see this Bob Barker, I always think you should just remember to spay through your beds. Bob Barker Company.
We have 5 minutes. We have to wait till 10:30.
Yeah, okay, no problem, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we're just ignoring it.
If we put a time on it. By
Just
all
in
means.
case.
Yeah, just in case, yeah.
We can start later, but we can't start.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Get some paperwork cut up for you.
Yeah, so we're,
Do you have any spreadsheets?
Yeah, we got copies. You want to look at them?
I'd say don't give her that one yet. We'll give her that one at the end. I mean, she can have it, but it'll be confusing. That's kind of a next year thing. Wait on this one.
Okay.
Conservation, 911. Agenda. Yeah. 3, 4, 5, 6. Make a motion to approve the 7 monthly county claims. I'll second that. Motion by Bill, seconded by Mike to approve the 7 monthly county claims. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Juggling balls for the next 10 minutes. It's close enough. Close enough for us.
Okay, we're gonna roll?
We can roll.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for having us. I'm Brian Hinker. I wasn't here at the original meeting, but wanted to, with the time frame, crunching the April 1st deadline with IGHCP.
I think Carlos, yeah. Yep.
Just wanted to go through where we were at with the process.
You guys want to see what we're doing? Yeah.
We've got a couple spreadsheets that Jim will walk through, but wanted to just give a little background. We've looked at Wellmark standalone quotes, so with Blue Cross outside the trust, with both the Alliance Select Network, which is the national PPO network, and then the Blue Choice network that's a little narrower that IGHCP was kind of forcing folks to go to. We've got numbers from Aetna, United Healthcare, and Health Partners on this sheet. Didn't know where this conversation would go today, but this is kind of I would say the big quote with lots of options. We narrowed it down on the second page.
It's really the same information. The first page just shows you everything we
Everybody,
did.
and these are the ones that are the best.
Yeah, and then the second page is the one you care about.
Yeah. And then as we go through, I think we thought our discussion would be try to go as apples to apples of what we have today, and then maybe go down the path of, do we offer a second option, HSA, those sorts of conversations.
Yeah, so almost our first option was let's find a carrier that is probably the most competitive and best setup. Then we'll say, okay, let's work with that carrier and say, what do we want to offer? We want to have HSAs, we want to have partial self-fund, what's the flow? And that's, I mean, so maybe this sheet, with the first busy sheet probably is what you can look at. In the gray on the right, it shows you what the difference from current is. And that's probably all you really care about in the big scheme of things. Most of the plans are apples to apples. The second purple and the second green are both HSA options. We threw those on there for the sake of showing you where they fit in, but that's probably a later discussion as we go. The most competitive, as you can see, is the very bottom one, that Health Partners Unity Point quote. We would tell you, initially when we came in, our number one objective is to find out how you're doing in the trust. And so with IGCHP, we can tell that you're helping the trust. So your quote outside of the trust is better than in the trust. So I'd say issue number one, we're going to leave the trust, is I think kind of what we probably heard at our first meeting, that's not a huge problem anyway. So even if we chose to stay with Wellmark, our rates are better to not be in the trust. So we've been helping that trust. We're concerned about that trust. You guys, I don't know, maybe you're clairvoyant, maybe you guys are smarter than we think, and could tell them. But you guys could see that something maybe wasn't happening the right way, and that the trust is struggling. And the fact that they're only offering Blue Choice as an option this year makes us say that's step one towards failure of that trust. We, as salespeople, are thinking, who else is in that trust? Because rats are going to be jumping off that ship, and we're going to try and figure out who else we can help with that problem. So, in a nutshell, that's good that you went to RFP and said, let's look at how this works, because you shouldn't be in that trust. Now it's kind of a discussion of,
especially from a historic standpoint, we had the one.
Yeah.
Kind of last year was a bad year in claims, but they looked at your history is fantastic.
Right.
So, and the one blip is not ongoing. And that's why we're seeing these numbers from the carriers. We didn't feel it was a buying your business. They asked for history. Carla got us what we needed, and now this is kind of where we're at.
Right. And so one of our goals is to talk about Wellmark and make sure that you're comfortable with what they're doing with Blue Choice. So Blue Choice is the Wellmark Health Plan of Iowa network. I usually describe it like this, and maybe you go home and verify with your wife and make sure she says the same thing. But I say that Wellmark, in their infinite wisdom, they are the Blue Cross Blue Shield franchise holder in Iowa. So they're the McDonald's franchise holder. They get to make Big Macs. Well, they said, hey, everybody knows that we're the Blue Cross Blue Shield, so we're going to go out and create a deeper discount and create this Wellmark Health Plan of Iowa, which isn't part of the Blue Cross Blue Shield franchise, but people will still buy from us because we're still thought of as Blue Cross Blue Shield, and we want to pay those franchise fees to the national company, and we'll have a better product. That's what Blue Choice is. But Blue Choice doesn't tap into the national network and give you access to Mayo Clinics or give you access to Nationwide Blue Cross. Blue Choice specifically has an out-of-network component that links in and gets you access to Mayo Clinics with higher costs and different copays. In your situation, they've customized your plan to make those two together, so your in and out-of-network benefits are the same, and your people wouldn't really feel a difference by going to Mayo Clinics from a cost perspective. Your plan would feel a little bit of a difference because you're not getting the discount that you're getting if they go to Mason City, but your rates are guaranteed. You're not paying part of that. It would be a good solution for what we're doing if we didn't have Health Partners. So in our experience, what has happened in our market for the longest time, we've had Wellmark, Aetna, and United Healthcare. Those are really the three players we can quote. Health Partners has come into being really over the past 18 months and has started to make quite a dent. We've moved, I'd say, 3 significant groups to Health Partners in the last little bit here. One is a group called Medic EMS in the Quad Cities. One is Wartburg College moved to Health Partners. And then Lutheran Services in Iowa, which I think might have been on our reference list, I'm not positive. Lutheran Services in Iowa moved there for January 1st. And we're very comfortable with Health Partners. We've been to they're based in Minneapolis. What happened was Unity Point and Wellmark were kind of starting to date and looking to maybe get married into a health plan. After a year or two of that experience, they kind of got in a fight and went their separate ways. Unity Point knew they wanted to be in this health insurance process, and so they found a new partner in this Health Partners to do this. Health Partners is a huge company in Minneapolis. They've got about 1.7 million insureds, which is very similar to the number of insureds Wellmark would tell you they have in Iowa. So it's a real legitimate setup.
What's the demographic across 1.7 across what? The country or?
Well, we're really across the country, but they're predominantly in Minnesota.
Okay.
In Iowa, they're going to tell you they've got about 55,000 insureds. 40,000 of those are Unity Point employees. So they are growing in Iowa. And we know that because actually as we talk to our Wellmark friends, we can tell that Health Partners is hurting them. they're taking some of the nice business.
They're going to be cheaper than their growth.
Exactly. And they're also, the benefit, we were really impressed with Health Partners. I'm really impressed with Wellmark. We do a ton of business with Wellmark, but you can't be all of anything. We really like Aetna and United, but they both have a couple of gaps in their programs that we don't see those gaps in the Health Partners. We think Health Partners is the closest thing to Wellmark that you're gonna find. When we
studied their financials,
they're extremely strong. Yeah, extremely strong. They've been in business, I think, since 1940, and they have a huge. The thing is, in the Minneapolis area, they are also a provider. So when you're if you go to the Mall of America, actually their building is a 14-story building from the Mall of America. You can see their building where they are, and they, I would say, come at it from a different perspective because of their nature as a provider. So they want to do some of the things to control claims and long-term costs because they're coming at this not only as a provider because they want better outcomes, but as a claims payer, as an insurance. So that's what, to me, makes them different. When we met with them, I said it's all about perspective. Wellmark's perspective was we're a claims payer and we're trying to control what those providers are doing. Well, Health Partners is actually both. And so they're coordinated in a way that some aren't. So we're extremely comfortable with Health Partners. And so we think, flip to the next page, just because it's smaller to see, or it's larger to see, it's not small. We think that Health Partners will be our solution. You can see Health Partners has one limitation in Iowa right now. They do not partial self-fund. So today we have this side fund, we buy down our deductible from $5,000 to the $1,000. Health Partners has never done that. We went and met with them. We were there actually June 1st, of last year, and that was a big topic that we talked about is, hey, that's pretty common in Iowa. You're going to need to be in that world. And we're actually in discussions with them and have had a couple calls to start down that path and sharing the file that we get from Wellmark and how that comes and what we would need from them to be able to do that. And we think that will be something that is coming. But we don't think we need to partial self-fund. We actually think the best quote is the very bottom one, which to me is your plan today. And so that would be simpler for your employees because there wouldn't be a second EOB, and it also saves us the most money. So that plan is $135,000 a year cheaper than what we're paying in this current fiscal year. And so we think that's a huge potential savings with a huge benefit to your people. The network is very inclusive. One of the things that we do at employee meetings, we did this a lot with LSI, Lutheran Services in Iowa, was a big deal. Health Partners has multiple networks, and they have a very, very limited network that is only Unity Point providers. We aren't even suggesting that we offer that network. We're gonna be on their open access national network, which would include Mayo Clinics and all the providers that we're gonna need in our area. At the meetings, we do a lot of education because their card will actually say Health Partners Unity Point and have that Unity Point logo on it. And we want to make sure your employees know that they're not limited to just Unity Point people, because that could be a misconception right off the bat to not limit them. We did that a lot with LSI as we did their meetings around for LSI and have not heard negative feedback. The biggest problem is we think that somebody's going to go to Mercy in Mason City and show them that card, and and the Mercy person's gonna say, you can't come here, that's a Unity Point card. And we want the person to know enough to say, no, our guy said we're good, we're on that open access network, so that they just push back enough to say it'll be fine, and it will. We have not heard that pushback. Health Partners cautioned us of that because they've had a little bit of that in some markets where, it's dueling hospital systems, and their Mercy and Unity Point are kind of rivals, and they don't want to use that. So we don't see that as being an issue.
And right out of the gate. I mean,
and newer in
Iowa,
right.
Providers aren't
That's worked itself out. Yeah.
The nice thing is, we do feel like the other thing that Health Partners has done is their stability, their financial strength, and their underwriting has allowed them to be, I'd say, competitively aggressive and then competitively confident. So then they also give a second-year rate guarantee, so that they say, we know that you're running well enough that we will tell you right now that next year we will not give you more than a 15% increase. And that's one of our fears, and I don't want to dog any client, any customer necessarily, or any carrier necessarily, but United Healthcare and Aetna both have kind of garnered a reputation of being very aggressive year one, and then coming in at 22, 26, 28% year two, and it's like, well, you just bought our business and now we're into this predicament. And so Health Partners has addressed that right up front. Actually, the third sheet, the reason we didn't give this out at day one was this just shows you what that third year rate cap would be.
Before we go to that, I got a question.
Yeah.
You guys care about it. Our actual savings would be an extra 56, that you go to the first sheet you gave us, and our IGHCP renewal would be 56,000 more than last year.
You're right.
So we can tack that on to our savings.
Yeah, I'm careful about the way I say that, but I'm glad you say it that way. I don't want to tell you that you're going to save 191,000,
Yeah.
because you're really not.
Well,
because that was your alternative.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But you hadn't spent that 156 yet, so I make sure that you know that we're not. Yeah. That's exactly right.
Good way to say it, yeah.
Then if you look at what that third year rate cap is, those are compared to, that second year rate cap, that's compared to today, that's actually $33,000 more than today. I'm not saying we're not signing a 2-year agreement, but in our back pocket, we know that it can be no worse than a second year that's $33,000 more than we're paying right now, which, like you said, it's still $22,000 more than our Wellmark offer, or $20,000 less than our Wellmark offer. So we are really happy with this offer. I would tell you that, I think you guys remember, I live in Waverly, and I just quoted Waverly Shell Rock Schools also with Health Partners, about the same time we sent your stuff in. And unfortunately for me, but they're not aggressive on Waverly Shell Rock Schools. And so it tells me they aren't after everything. So Waverly Shell Rock Schools has, 238 employees, and, in my town, Wartburg College has just moved, LSI has just moved. It would be great to say Waverly Shell Rock's gonna move. They're about 22% above the renewal for Waverly Shell Rock with Wellmark. So Waverly Shell Rock has bad claims, and they aren't just taking anybody who comes, they're selectively pricing and looking at the claims and doing it the right way. So I do feel really good about endorsing Health Partners, which is probably new to everybody, and people probably say, I don't know who that is. We think that's a big reason why employee meetings are important, because we want to help people become familiar with that. I think your geographical location will help that, because I think your people are probably more frequent to Minneapolis, And actually, once you see this, you will hear this some more. I mean, and so when you're in Minneapolis, you will see, oh, there's a health partner. Oh, I didn't even realize. Now that I know, it will be that this is a real deal, and we've been very impressed. We as brokers long, and you as employers long for a competitive option to keep our marketplace more stable longer. We think Health Partners has a good chance to be that because they are local. I mean, Minneapolis to me is still local. They're not United Healthcare that's based in Connecticut. And so
on the New York stock.
You're right. And so we feel like this is a positive step. Now, it does take some education. We like the fact. So what we're thinking is, so I showed you the two orange ones at the bottom, and oranges for Wartburg. No, I'm just kidding. But we showed you the two orange ones at the bottom. The first one is the $5,000 deductible that I would say compares to really what you're doing right now. And so, like Mike, when you say we're going to save that much money, the one thing that what we're suggesting when we go to the bottom plan is we aren't giving you any credit for assumed partial self-fund savings. So this will be a little bit harder to follow. I'm just going to stand up over here so you guys can all kind of see what's happening. So if you follow the lines across, we tell you what the premium is, then we tell you what the partial self-fund gets. So you're going to send Wellmark, in today's world, $659, and then you're going to put $107 into your little fund that you're going to use to pay those claims. So you can see down at the bottom, in the one that I'm suggesting with that $1,000 deductible, there is no fund. Yeah. So today, if your people have good claims experience, which we've been beneficial, and we have a fund that has some balance in it, you don't spend all of this $107, and that kind of accumulates year over year, and we can play with our numbers based on that fund. We won't be doing that anymore. We'll be now fully insured for what I'm going to say for 2000 until 7/1 of 19. Then we're going to make some decisions because we think partial self-funding will be ready by then. We're working with them and having conference calls to finalize that process. If push came to shove, I could say I think it could be available for 7/1 this year, but I don't think we want it to be available for 7/1. We'll take this and wait till next year, and then we have that lever in our back pocket to pull next year if costs are not ready for where we're going. So we came in, we left cautious, a month ago when you saw us with the parade of brokers you guys had to deal with. Hey, how's that going to work? What's going to happen? Hopefully they choose us. There's going to be a lot of moving pieces. The trust is always complicated. To come and fast forward a month, we're excited because we think you made a great decision to RFP. You made an incredible decision to choose. But more importantly, we have a great option with Health Partners that we weren't sure we would have a month ago. And so a month ago we said, well, we'll figure something out because that's what we do. And Health Partners has really come through and given us a great alternative. It does take a lot of education, and it's important that we get in front of your people and schedule meetings and make sure that they know what we're thinking. We want to get that name to them, especially at a county. Wartburg's similar. They're not exactly the same, but anybody who has been with Wellmark forever, to move away from Wellmark is just uncomfortable, and we have to help people feel okay with that. I mean, my wife works at Wartburg, so I'm on Health Partners. That's my coverage, and so, and unfortunately we've used it a little bit. She had bunion surgery, and so I mean we've used it a little bit. So yeah. So we are comfortable that could be a great solution. Now, what do you think? What's your comments?
I don't have any. I like it.
Yeah.
And by making all those great decisions, we're not quite as dumb as they thought. Either that or we're really smart by accident.
That maybe didn't come out right. That was Brian.
Well, Health Partners,
price, they're almost kind of using pre-existing conditions as, you say that the school in Waverly had a high.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's good to put a group that has healthier people. I mean, there's no doubt that there are a lot of people in the world nowadays that think that that's not right.
Well, I shouldn't say it the wrong way. So really, all the carriers that we're gonna look at
the same.
Look at the same thing
No,
and say.
I'm not saying it's just health partners.
Yeah, we're gonna charge you based on what we think might happen. And Health Partner says, we're gonna charge Waverly Shell Rock Schools a lot because we're afraid of what's gonna happen. We think what's gonna happen with you guys is conducive to a risk that we wanna take, and so we're gonna be more aggressive.
The other telling thing was the other quotes from the other carriers were positive.
Yeah, those other, I mean, really, Wellmark was arguably your worst option. So both United Healthcare and Aetna both would have liked to deal with you also.
That bodes well that it wasn't just one underwriter's eye.
We get afraid if only one is significantly low and all the other ones are saying something.
Yeah, you wonder,
right.
well, it's kind of like when we got the bid for the courthouse, when the guy came in half the price of the guy that normally does the repair. And we're like, what's up with that?
Right.
We ended up going with the higher guy.
Right. Right.
Well, here's the thing, so you know where I'm coming. Here's the thing that bothers me in this whole industry. They don't tie the medical cost into when they make their opinions about healthcare costs. They blame the insurance company only.
Yep.
And that's not right. The insurance company, and I'd be the same way, is gonna want to make a percentage profit.
Yep.
We're all
trying to make money. That's what we're here.
Right. And so the whole national discussion about healthcare and insurance should be weighted more on the medical side than the insurance
we were
side.
just talking about that on the way up here.
Right now, we're like this. We've got your medical costs and we've got your insurance, your payer. What we need to do is we need to do this. And really that's what Health Partners is. Now, Health Partners isn't the system that owns the clinic in Mason City or whatever. But that's what they are in Minneapolis. And so they're coming at it from a perspective of saying, this is how we share information with those providers because we want better outcomes. So we're sharing, and that's ultimately how we're gonna fix the problem or improve the problem. Yeah, we're probably never gonna fix it.
We had it fixed when I was a little boy, when there was no health insurance.
Yeah.
And old Doc Louie up in Frost, Minnesota, the people that couldn't pay didn't pay.
Right.
The people that paid. I can remember going in, the whole family, it would have cost $10.
Right.
And somehow, with all those people who didn't pay him, and we didn't have to pay insurance companies, the doctor still became a multi-millionaire many times over in a little bitty town of Frost, Minnesota.
Yep. And treated people the right way and did what was supposed to.
Yeah, and we seemed like we were just about as healthy then as we maybe not either.
Yeah. Now, the other thing to bring up a little bit is there's some other things that we're looking at. So, if you follow this sheet across, I would say part of the nice thing about what we're doing is this takes away several of the unnecessary fees. Maybe the unnecessary evils. They were all needed to be there, but it was hard to justify. So we're obviously going to have a consultant fee. That's really important. But we're not going to have the partial self-fund fee. So there's no fee to that. We're not going to have the billing admin that IGCHP had. We don't have to pay an EOB fee anymore. So really, it's just a simple, now we've unbundled how that's going to work to show you this is a better way to make things happen. Now, next year, if we do come back and have the partial self-fund, some of those fees will return. There'll never be another billing admin fee. I mean, we still laugh when we see those invoices that they just add a couple bucks on there for that. But those, you'll see, and hopefully as we grow our partnership, you'll like our forwardness. Calling you dumb is probably not the best way. You'll like how that works. And I think that will be a good thing long term. And more than anything, we think your employees will like that. Because
transparency.
Yeah, this is going to work and this is going to be a good setup. Now, there's other products that we aren't done with. Okay, go ahead.
Amos and Marna will pay the price if you
So we haven't received all of our stuff back. I'm gonna call it on the other stuff. Dental, vision, life, disability. There are a couple of minor hiccups on like the Lincoln Financial life and disability. I think Carla can probably say this better than I can too, because I don't want to throw somebody else under the bus. But you were part of the IGCHP trust for the life and disability. That gave you access to a couple of enhanced things because of the volume that was in there. And so immediately when Lincoln Financial said, okay, well on 7/1 they're going to lose a couple things. One is your guarantee issue on your extra life insurance that employees can purchase. I think it's $100,000 today. That will fall to $50,000. We don't see that as a huge deal because it's not taking away from somebody. It means that a new employee would only be offered to buy $50,000. We won't tell them, well, it used to be 100, we lost this, and they're going to have 50. So if that's the way that ends up being, that's not a huge loss. The other thing is actually, I think, Carla, you and I talked about this on the phone, your long-term disability program came with an employee assistance program that will be lost that was not known about. So like in Carla's, putting words in Carla's mouth, the frustration was that should have been better promoted so that we knew we had something, but we've never even known that that was part of our program. But now that we're moving, they're saying, well, you're going to lose that. Well, you didn't tell us we had it to start with.
Yeah, I didn't know we had it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we don't envision that being a big deal. We also do envision that we still may move those carriers. We know what we have. We just don't have the quotes back yet. So at worst, it's going to be equal to where we are today. We're just looking for improvements. And so we've got quotes out to MetLife because I think we had a little bit of negative feedback on the dental with Delta. And we actually just moved NICC, Northeast Iowa Community College just left Delta Dental and went to MetLife Dental. And we're going to try that process and see how they rate rate-wise also. So we'll have a little bit more on that. This was the big deal that you care about, I think, and we wanted to say, do we want to go down this path so that we can start, getting things in order? I assume we want to use our enrollment system. We probably want to do a demo of that. It was all brought up in our proposal, which I'm sure that was a mess too. You guys are trying to read through 3 proposals. And, I don't envy what you did in that deal when we were all in here. We have a online enrollment system that employees would use to make their elections. We really like that system for the ease of access for employees through the year. So what would happen is, Carla would log in and it, specific to Carla, would say, hey, welcome, how'd you want your health plan? Did you want the HSA or did you want the tradition, whatever. If you took the HSA, it would know you can now make contributions to your HSA. If you didn't take the HSA, it wouldn't let you make contributions, so it's smart enough to kind of guide you down that path. Hey, for dental, how'd you want to do this? Did you want members of your family covered? Hey, for vision, how'd you want to do that? Most importantly, for life, who's your beneficiary? And then every year, you can bop back through there and see who's your beneficiary. Is that still who you want? Oh, no, I'm divorced now. I don't want that same. It just keeps it in front of people so that we don't get 5 years down the road and forget that I never changed my beneficiary when I got divorced, whatever. And there's no additional charge for that. That's something we do for our groups that makes that simple. Usually at open enrollment, we come out and then we bring computers with us because you'll have some people that aren't super computer savvy and we'll help them bob through that.
Or we can go with people over the phone too.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that with NICC, helping people over the phone who are like, I don't want to log in, but
we've seen it all. And so it's easy to make all that stuff work. It just takes some preparation, which is kind of why we wanted to say, let's get this started. Our next discussion probably means that we should talk about what other plan alternates we want. All we did was try and show you an apples to apples and say Health Partners is probably the winner. Now, do we want to offer an HSA this year and start talking about education for HSAs? And if we do want to do that, and we schedule the meetings, I'm going to call it our general meetings for, first or second week in May. Do we schedule an informational meeting mid-April to talk about HSAs in general? Hey, this year we're going to offer HSAs. Let's get people who want to come that will give them a little, 20-minute rundown on what HSAs are so that they can be a more educated consumer when they're making a decision how they want their family to be set up.
My opinion on that would be let's take it slow.
We could bring up HSAs that we're looking to do that for next year at our meetings this year and introduce that so that people are aware and can ask questions. Honestly, it's not ideal to start an HSA on 7/1 because you're taking really a whole year's worth of risk in that 6 months that you have. And so there might be reason to start those discussions and introduce how that could be without offering that plan, because then that will make somebody talk around town and talk to their friends. And, oh, you're on an HSA. Oh, how's that? Oh, we don't like it. I mean, I still say the first time we had an HSA in my world, my wife picked up a prescription for the kids and came home and was like, did we cancel our insurance? That prescription was $73. No, we have an HSA. Use the other checkbook. But it's her immediate thing was there's a problem, and we have to make sure people understand that.
And maybe with the move, you don't want to get off to a wrong start over education when it wasn't Health Partners' fault. This is how the HSA works, and they maybe didn't know it.
Yeah. So, questions, comments? If we're on the agenda, were you thinking action would be taken today?
I put with possible action.
Okay. So, I hate to write motions for you. We do this a lot, so I'm not trying to say that. But you could even make a motion that says we'd like to switch to Health Partners effective 7/1. Pending review of the final numbers and the shakeout of the plan designs, and that means that it's not done, but it is done for our purposes. And then we come back and show you, okay, here's the final stuff. Yeah. But that way we can start moving with Health Partners to say, hey, their action says that it's done. Let's put everything in place and get going. Yeah.
That was said perfectly, and I don't think that motion. Yep. I'll second it. Okay, comments from the crowd? This changes nothing, so that's the good part. All right, motion was made by myself, seconded by Bill. For motion made, all in favor say aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
So now the big deal is we'll go back and we'll get a term letter created to IGCHP so that we can notify them. I mean, technically it's supposed to be before April 1st, and we will get it done before that. So we'll probably go back today and you'll see it. I do feel like we would have had some wiggle room if we weren't ready, but we are ready, and we're going to live by their rules and tell them that we're going to go away. So yeah.
Excellent.
So this is great. We're excited for the option that we have, and I really am excited because I think you're going to see a good thing. Remember for 7/1 of 19, what I showed you on that smaller one, those are maximums. That's not a guarantee. So if we're running well, we might see a 6% increase. That if we're running horribly, we have that in our back pocket that we wouldn't have been able to get to another carrier. We have that in our back pocket, which is a great alternative. We don't envision that, but you never know. And so we've got a decent 2-year plan. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excellent. Sure is like that's about once worth it's going to save us money.
Yeah, we don't see that very often.
Right. Especially on health insurance too.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
No, we thank you for, and maybe we didn't say this. We thank you for selecting us too.
Yeah.
We don't envy your spot you were in as you're deciding that. I think there was 3 capable people in the room that day, and we're glad you chose us. So thank you.
Yeah, so far we're going to even though you're really, I'm right back. I can't decide whether I'm an underachieving genius. I'm right back.
Underachieving genius.
Oh, is that right? You're going to go with that one?
For myself, that's what I'm doing.
I may never live that one down. So that's all we have. You want more from us?
I don't need anything, man. No, I like what I saw.
So we will probably take action with Carla from here on out, and maybe have you bless it one more time that says, here's our final offering.
Here's the final.
Yeah, which will say, here's the health, here's the dental, vision, whatever, which I say those are important, but they're not as big ticket items, and they won't be worse than what you have right now. They might just improve cost or something like that, so.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have that soon,
Yeah.
so.
So thank you for your time, and
Thank you. Have a safe trip back.
Terry knew it was health insurance today, he's.
I know, yeah. Terry's like, I'm getting out of here today.
He didn't want to see Brittany, right?
I know, yeah. Have a good rest of the week, you guys.
Yeah, you too. I'll say hi to your sister for you.
Oh, thanks.
Can you go back to the one for this?
Sure.
Okay. So I was at ISAC last week and I found out that our OVIs, our handicap machines, that they're requiring us to go to a bigger screen on those handicap machines. So we can either buy bigger screens for the ones that we have, or we can get new equipment. The total cost projected would be like $23,474 for the new equipment. I think, I hate to spend money, but to just put the bigger screens on the old equipment won't allow us to do some of the updates that they're wanting, that we need to do. So I'm gonna have this on the agenda for next week. They do have a 3-year lease option with no interest. So, even though the budget's set for 19, they said that they would be happy to work with us and
Put it off a little as far as
paying
how
for
much
it.
did you say it was?
Like 23,000.
23,000. And that's just for your office?
It's just for the
Elections.
the OBI machines that we
Yeah.
take out to all the polling places to, required by law to have it, and so.
Well, if you get just the screens, then later you'll end up having to buy the other stuff, and when you do stuff like that, it usually ends up costing more.
Well, that's
You
what-
delay some of the expense, but, lots of times it ends up costing more. What would just the screens cost?
$250 a unit.
How many?
We have like 13 units right now.
Did you get that figured out? Roughly 3,500. I'm guessing.
But I'm guessing eventually they're gonna make us go to these new things anyway, so.
Yeah, so they end up at 3,250.
The nice thing about it too is it's kind of like an iPad where people can vote and swipe like they do on an iPad. So, I mean,
Yeah.
nothing today, but just know that it'll be on the agenda for next week.
Yeah, we're gonna finish the payroll claims here. You know what's going? What's that? Oh, that's update. That's just yeah. All right.
Mike, I got lots of stuff. I've been forgetting to have you sign you. Thank you.
right again. This here, we just stamp receipt, right?
Yep.
Disking at $110 an hour. Yeah, that seems, still not me, but my thought on that one is I gotta see what you, go out and see what you can rent a tractor for. Yeah. It can't be, a big four-wheel drives are pretty expensive, but for a piece of equipment that you own, that seemed, well, I would assume disking as a custom rate for a farmer, I realize it's, I'm assuming that disc for him is probably a little more heavy duty because of the garbage you get put in it. See. Well, they usually charge per acre for disking. Yeah. And the bigger the tractor, the faster you can do it. So your per hour will vary. I mean, if you're out there with a small tractor and a small disc, your per hour would be less. Yeah. If you're out there with a great big old tracked 600 horse tractor, your per hour is going to be a hell of a lot higher because you're going to tear that acre off in a hell, not very long at all. So, what were the hours on? How many hours? Three. Charging 3. Yeah. If they're charging that much, it better have been a short period of time. I couldn't remember I just remember seeing the rate. But to run a, I'm assuming it probably isn't over a 12-foot disc, so you probably have a tractor that's at the most 70,000, just brand new. Yeah. And that's not much less than a backhoe, which is costing, $50,000. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to ask.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, we need to keep an eye on food grief, all these. Yeah, I'll guarantee you, if you run a cultivator, it doesn't cost you $110. I mean, I would guess, I don't know what they have for profit in there, but good grief, $110 now. Well, the elevator pays.
Hi, guys.
Pays me for me and my truck just $100 an hour. When I'm hauling fertilizer in the spring. But look at the costs you incur. Well, I'm sitting around most of the time. Well, okay. But not only is your machine expensive, but
all the permits,
Oh,
everything else
yeah.
along with it,
It's-
that this guy wouldn't have.
And it's a hell of a convenience for them is why cause they don't have to have that person there all year round or that piece of equipment to maintain.
Your metal guy sick?
Don't know, never heard her call in.
Oh my God, it's
Usually,
not gonna be another Willie, is it?
I would be shocked if it was.
I never thought of that.
You remember, was it Joe Grothy? Remember Joe Grothy? Remember him?
Yeah.
He used to live across from the bakery.
Every day, he'd go across the bakery here in Port, every day. And one day, he didn't show, and they called it. Of course, he had died. But it's just, people get in these routines.
Don't put that thought in my mind.
Well, I'm just
saying.
No, you should, Cindy's okay, for God's sakes. If I don't show up, I told my girls, check on me. There's a reason I didn't show up.
Yeah.
I could be kidnapped.
I've told my boys,
Don't worry about you.
I said, if you come in on me and it looks like I'm close to death, don't you dare call anybody.
Put my clothes back on me.
My kids come in there and be like, Joe, doctor says you're gonna die, huh?
Yeah. What did the doctor say? You're gonna die. What's that joke again?
How the joke goes?
Yeah.
It's where a couple guys are out in the desert.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
gets bit by a rattlesnake,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is taking a.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll stop there. I can't proceed.
And it's where, it's two robbers, right? And you gotta give up the information of where the money is. I think that's.
No, I didn't hear it that way. Well, the way I heard it, it was just they're out in the desert, one gets bit by a rattlesnake. And then yeah, I know,
I don't know that one.
I'll tell it to you once. You haven't heard anything from Terry, have you?
No, not, but I haven't checked my phone.
It's possible he might have taken off for
I
Washington.
thought it was.
I thought
No, it's next week, but he might have went out early.
I don't know, yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
Dave Peterson was talking today.
This is just a welfare check. We couldn't remember if you'd gone out to DC or not, and then Sandy come in and said, I hope it's not another Willie. So, I hope you're having fun. Talk to everybody. I should have said, I hope you're on the right side of the dirt.
He doesn't drink too much. He doesn't smoke.
Terry?
Yeah.
But I guess if it goes straight to voicemail, he might even, were they flying out? Was that this week?
No, it's the 29th, I believe.
Is it the 29th?
I thought it was the 22nd, but I'm not sure.
Maybe it is.
I don't know. Yeah, because he talked about not being here for the public hearings. So.
Yeah, maybe it is.
I'm sure. You guys looked at enough that they're open with the commission on them.
little bit left.
Yeah, it's, March 21st, so they might already be on the way out there, so. That's what it is.
Bill, don't let me go without going to the license station. I lost my tags for my Focus, and I've been running almost a month with last year's tag.
I'm not quite that bad. I'm driving a vehicle right now that's got it sitting on the seat yet, the new sticker. At least it's got it good. I just haven't got it on the plate. I forgot that the kids and, I don't think the wife drives it very often, the kids are always driving the car. They never tell me that it's empty. I got in it this morning and it was empty, so I said, well, I guess I'll take the old pickup. I had time to get gas.
Gas and I need an oil change.
I got my oil changed here a couple of weeks ago on my vehicle, so finally got a day where
Gas
I have the
motors,
time and the ambition lined up.
gas motors, you don't need to change your oil.
Is that what they say?
I haven't changed oil on any of my cars since 1957.
Change filters?
I change filters about every 15, 20,000.
Is that right?
And I have run most of my cars 200,000 miles.
Well, they say that today's, well, you use it synthetic?
Nope.
How do you use the
Better
synthetic?
oil. If it gets low, I just add. I know a guy that since 1950, that's all he's done. So I tried it with one of my vans and it worked. And like I say, I haven't changed oil on any of my vehicles. In 87. That's 30 years, or 40. 87, 97, 87, 97, 27, 30 years.
Huh. And every 15,000 with the filter, huh?
In fact, on my Suburban, I don't think I changed it the last 75,000.
Wow.
It's still running 197,000 on it.
Well, I've seen engines, if they don't change the oil on them on the inside,
Yeah.
and they have a cake stuck to the sides of the block and the oil pan.
Well, I must
But
be lucky
that,
then.
most of them that I'm thinking of is diesel application.
Yeah, you can't do it with a diesel.
But,
You have to change oil on a diesel.
I'm trying to remember if I ever, well, no, that, I overhauled an engine years ago in my old Mustang, and whoever had that before had evidently not, and that one was pretty dirty on the inside.
So if you go over, it ain't a big deal.
Well, I don't change every 3,000 miles like some people do.
I'm about 5,000 right now.
I'm 5 to 7.
The problem is that, you drive to Des Moines. I drive to Des Moines a lot. I drive up to, we drive up to Wisconsin a lot. We drive to my parents a lot. And
That's the better miles though for your oil. The cruising down the road miles or the tearing around town miles is the tough stuff.
I'm an idiot.
What's that?
I'm an idiot. Did you read that one?
Oh, I didn't read the note. I forgot. How only worked, so I put it on the fifth. I'm an idiot. Well,
he always says you're the smart end of the leash.
Yeah. Well, and like I said earlier when they were here, it says, you just can't decide some days whether you're an underachieving genius or an overachieving idiot.
I knew it came out wrong, he didn't.
I was thinking the same.
I couldn't pass it up.
And you beat me to it, because he teed it up. And I'm like, one of us is gonna drive this down the fairway. And you know, when it comes to the insurance world, when it comes to me anyway,
Yes,
he's
yeah,
technically
me
right.
too.
It's, you're involved in it a lot more than I am.
Insurance is hard.
Oh, it's terrible.
Okay, we've got one in here for Jessica Price. It was approved March 6, 2018 and signed. And it's still, why is that in there?
So the reason she's in there twice is because she didn't have enough hours, and she takes out extra of something, so she didn't have enough hours to, they put in 2 times of her working or something?
Oh, so we need to approve this one again then to get the other half?
I would guess so.
Haley Cochran is Fuel Dispatch.
Yes. I think that's the one that's out there. That
There's so many things in the nursing, as far as some of them are $11 an hour. I've always been surprised if they could find anybody to do anything for that.
Yeah, especially that job.
Yeah, no, that's not.
Changing diapers.
Yeah.
This might sound cruel, but I think we all know people that's really about all they could do. And, you know, it sounds cruel, but
Yeah, it's like I tell my kids, why is it some people are really tall, good-looking, smart, and athletic, and other people are absolutely the opposite? The world's not fair.
no, it isn't.
Or why is the other half like me? Is
But you know what? Since the computer age, it usually balances out. All the nerds now are the rich people.
Yeah, it's, some of those, computer tycoons, don't exactly fit the successful businessmen, tall and handsome and debonair and all that. Some of these guys are short. They're not handsome and debonair maybe, but they're just not, usually on average, taller people are more successful.
Are they?
That's right.
I didn't know that.
That's what the hell happened to you?
What happened to me?
Well, I guess you have to look at where the success was at in your life, right?
look at Warren Buffett.
Yeah. Look at George Soros.
There's a guy I just don't understand.
Oh, I
He
understand.
makes his money in a free democratic capitalist system and he fights against it.
He uses our own system against us to get his, and there's stuff coming out now that he was behind funding millions of dollars worth. Sunk an airplane because there's a dive bomber.
Is Eric in his office?
Sounds like it.
Some of these employees, I know them only by name, I've never met them.
No, yeah, I wouldn't be able to put the name on the face of a lot of them, but I recognize their names. And some of them I recognize them, but I don't know which name to put on them. No, I gotta decide whether, think I should go to the forum on Friday, or should I go to the second judicial district meeting on Friday? There's got Guth and Gaspin in Buffalo Center on Friday, I think my second judicial district meeting is also the same day.
I'm going to the, well, that's next week. What was conflicting for you?
The legislative forum, whatever they call it, in second judicial district. That's board I'm on, or whatever, it's
Yeah,
called,
okay.
committee or whatever. But,
Well, I voiced my concerns.
well, I visited with them about it the last time they were there a couple weeks ago.
What happens to our representatives when they get either to Washington or Oregon?
It's worse in Washington probably.
Oh, yeah.
Motion for payroll.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.